Thanks again for attending another session of the Chief Architect webinars training. My name is Drew Staywork. I'll be doing the presentation today. Today we're going to cover materials, their definitions, how to change materials, and how to create your own custom materials if they do not exist in the library. I have here a two-story. I'll wait till it renders. And maybe I want to change some colors on here. I'm going to demonstrate the best way to do things. Of course, there's always more than one way. Some ways are easier, and some ways are obviously more difficult, and some ways can get you in trouble. The easiest thing that you would probably think is, like, say we want to change the siding here, is to go either to the spray can or open up the library and come in here to a, not roofing, come in here to a siding, pick one, say okay, and go around and change all the walls. Okay, that's one way to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the difference is, let's say I have this house and I later down the road I put a garage on. Depending on the way I change my materials, I'll have to change it on the garage also. The best way to change a wall material, exterior wall material, is to double click on the wall. And you can see I opened it up by just double clicking. For those of you who are new to Chief, if you go under Preferences, under Architectural, out of the box, Select Room will be highlighted. So if I have that checked and I try to click this wall, it won't let me. Okay, it's going to select the room. Okay, that's not what I want. You can tell right there it says room. So just always make sure that your Select Room before Wall in 3D is unchecked. Now when we click on the double click on the wall, it will open up the wall specification dialog. What we then want to do is to go into Wall Types, and the wall we have selected is a siding 6. We can tell right there it says siding 6. What we want to do is go into Define. This tells us by default it's going to put tan siding on. Well, we can go to the library, and we can change the siding. So let's go into my libraries, into the Ritz-Craft libraries. And we'll go to siding, and we'll just change it to country beige. Say OK. We can see right there it changed to country beige. And that is the siding layer. Just if you see some of these other materials, see how I'm clicking this window, you can see it changes the materials. That's because that's drywall on the inside, that's the framing, that's the OSB. I'll go over that a little bit more in the next section. But I want to say OK and OK. Now the thing that this does is any wall in the plan that is designating a siding 6, it'll automatically go ahead and change it. Okay? Let's say up here in this gable, maybe I want shake. Here I can't go and define, because if I change it here, it'll change it everywhere. So in this case, I would go to the Material tab, go to Exterior Wall Surface, see my default is country beige. If I go to the library, I can pick a Northwoods and maybe buckskin. Say OK. Now on just this individual wall, it changed the material. Now if I open up this wall, go to materials, it tells me it's buckskin. If I wanted to change that back to this particular siding, when I open it up and go to exterior, if I click on plan materials and say use default, it'll change it back to the default siding. So that's one way to change it back. In this case, once you have it changed, you can also use the spray can in this instance. Let's go ahead and change it from buckskin to maybe sable brown. I'll say OK. The only thing I want to make sure is that I just have component on my spray cans down here, that I have component selected. And I'll go over those a little bit more here in a future segment. Okay, so that's the best way to change siding materials. And again, now if you were to put a garage on here, it would have the siding of the country beige, because your default material for that siding wall, or a wall 6 siding, wall 6 with siding, is country beige. If you just came in here and used a spray can and painted it, whatever the default material was when you drew that wall, that's what it would be. So you would have to go in and change the wall again. Okay. Same with the roof. We can come in here to our spray can, or open up our library browser, and we can go to our roof options, and let's just say Onyx Black. I can come in here and I can paint all the individual roof sections, which is fine. Probably a better way to do it, again, if you were to add a roof, or let's say maybe you just added a porch and you rebuilt the roofs. The best way to do it is to go into the default settings. Under the materials, under roof, we can see our default roof material is just asphalt roofing, which is what you see there. If we go to the library, and we go down to my library, Ritz-Craft libraries, roofing, and I'm just using PA as default. You can use North Carolina or Michigan or whatever. Let's say Onyx Black. Say OK. You can see my default material has changed to Onyx Black. We'll say OK, and done. Now, you see, well, it didn't do anything. Well, if we hit F12 on the keyboard, that regenerates the model. So now my roofing material has changed. Now, if I were to put a garage on, or add a porch, and I regenerate my roofs, it's going to give me that asphalt black shingle. So I don't have to constantly go to the library and change my material with either the spray can or the library. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, moving right along. Let's say customer, maybe they want a stone veneer. If I open up my browser by using the spray can, and I go to, you could use the default chief materials. They don't really offer a wide variety, if you've ever noticed. They only offer one stacked stone option. Now, you could change the colors, I guess, but a better way is, as long as you're an SSA member, you see all these bonus libraries I downloaded, and that's not even all of them. They're just the ones I downloaded. I use this cultured stone a lot for doing this kind of stuff, and this one here, I'm just going to pick this one at random. If I pick this and I try to apply it to the wall, so I get a stone veneer, it's going to do the entire wall. Well, maybe I don't want the entire wall. Maybe I just want a portion of this wall. Okay, so what do I do there? I'm going to undo this. I could put a polyline solid on there, make it real thin just so it covers the wall, but then I'd have a lot of trimming out to do around the windows and stuff, and it's just, you could do it, but it would be a lot more time consuming. Better way to do it is, let's double click on the wall and open it up. Go to our wall types tab again. And you see this gives me an option for a pony wall. Now what this does, it's going to break the wall into two sections, an upper and a lower. This is telling me the upper type is siding 6 and the lower type is brick 6. I can change this, or I can use this and just apply the material to this. Probably the best way to do it is to go to Define. I'm going to make a copy of this brick 6. And since I'm using a stone, I'm just going to rename it Stone Veneer. You can see all the different layers. There's the drywall on the inside, the framing, the OSB. They're putting a house wrap on, and in this instance, I'm not a mason, so I'm not sure how this stuff works, but apparently the designers and chief feel there should be a 1-inch air gap between the wrap and the brick. If you don't want that, you can delete that layer. I'm just going to let it go. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to change the thickness to 2. And I want to leave it brick, so I'll come to my library, and I will browse to that cultured stone and that country ledgestone, the one that I had selected. Say OK. Now I just created a whole new wall type just by copying one that was already in there. Very simple. I'm going to say OK. Okay, so there is my wall with half stone and half siding. Now you can also adjust this vertically. You can do it in 3D mode. You can drag it up and down. If you want to be a little more accurate, we'll go back to the floor plan, and I'm just going to take a cross section of it. You can also pick this, drag it down a little bit, and maybe you want it maybe it's 3 feet high. There you can actually physically make it a specific distance. Then I can just drag. I guess I grabbed the wrong one. You have to grab the square. And I don't know why I broke it up into so many sections. Probably because I have the porch there. But you can drag it down until it snaps, as long as all your snaps are on. Probably should have done this before I put the porch on, but that's okay. And this one we just moved by hand. Okay, so you can see how it's pretty simple just to put some stone veneer around the house, and you can do that with all the walls. If you're going to do it with all the walls, I would recommend selecting one wall, holding Shift, and then select the other walls, and do them all at once. If you want it all the way around the house. If you just want it on the front, then obviously you're just going to do the front wall, which is what we did. Okay, so there's our stone veneer. Now, let's say maybe they want stone veneer 3 feet up here, but under the porch they want the whole thing to be stone veneer. Well, how am I going to do that? The best way to do that is just go back to our floor plan. I'm going to use my break wall tool. I'm going to break it here, and I'm going to break it here, and it automatically knows that you're trying to break it at a wall intersection. So as long as you get close, it'll put it right at that wall. I want to make sure I either hit my select object or my space bar, because if I go try to pick this wall now, it's going to give me another break. Okay, so as soon as I've done breaking my 2 spots, either hit the space bar or select the select command. Now we can open up this wall, and I uncheck pony wall, but under here I'll go and find that wall that I created, which was my stone veneer. Say OK, swap views. And there we have the wall with the stone veneer full height. Okay? It's all fairly simple. Might seem hard if you don't know how to do it, but once you know how to do it, it's like, okay, that's easy. Okay, any questions on that part? Okay, the next thing I just want to briefly say that I changed the roof material here in the default settings. I just want to mention that default settings are plan specific. In other words, it's only going to apply to this plan that I have. Excuse me. Whereas preferences will apply to any plan. Any plan that I open Chief up on my computer. If you go to another person's computer, they may have different preferences, so they'll change. But if you change the default, anybody that opens up, no matter what computer it is going to have these settings. Okay? So default settings are plan specific, and preferences are machine specific. Okay. Let's move to the inside. I just have a simple layout here, some invisible walls to define spaces, and just a simple little kitchen with our new island that I shrunk down a little bit. I'm going to give you an overhead view. Depending on what type of room you label a room, depending what kind of label you get it's going to get different materials. I did not change anything with the materials in this plan. This is all default out of the box. But you can see here in the kitchen, by default, it gave it a vinyl surface. Another thing X3 does is if I open up this room by double-clicking in it, it gives floor surfaces definition, I guess, different thicknesses. Obviously, in the real world, a vinyl floor is not going to be as thick as a hardwood floor or a carpet, just because vinyl's thin and carpet and hardwood are thick. So this is saying, this is probably thinking it's a tile. If I click on the floor finish, no, they're using a 1/4-inch mortar thin set and then an 1/8-inch laminate. You can change those whatever you want. You can leave them alone. You can just change the actual material. It's entirely up to you. The only reason I'm showing you this is so that you can actually see, let's say here in the dining room, right now the floor finish is carpet. Let me go ahead and change that to 3/4 and browse to my library. And I'm going to make it hardwood. Hardwood more than likely is 3/4 inches thick. What I want to show you is Chief actually shows you the difference in the thickness of the floor. And again, I don't know how important this is to you. I just want to show you that that's what it'll do. And you can see there the difference. You can just see that that's sticking up above the vinyl flooring. Okay? Now, do you have to do that? Do you have to be that involved? No. If you're just concerned that you want to show hardwood in certain rooms and carpet and vinyl in certain rooms, maybe you want to put hardwood here in the entryway that I had labeled. Okay, so there we have carpet in 3 rooms, hardwood, and vinyl. And again, we used the spray can to change this room, and I used the room definition to change this room. The difference being You can change the material here in the room specification under floor finish, or like I did with the spray can, or the material eyedropper, you can just match the materials. And that's just simply you click on the material eyedropper, click on what you want to change it to, make sure you have component or room selected, make sure if you have floor selected you'll change everything, and then you can just change that material. Any questions on that? Okay, let's get back to the kitchen, and I want to show you how to change the cabinet styles and colors. Now, this island is, like I said, the island from our new show house. It has the new sable oak, and I purposely left it that color for a reason. Let's say I want to change these cabinet doors. I'm going to open up my library. Under cabinets, I need to open up the library, and I apologize for this. I normally have my library over on a separate monitor, so I'm going to have to close Chief down here for a second. I have to take my library browser and restore its position. So that means I just have to restart it. And for those of you that do have two monitors, if any of you do, if you have the library over on a second monitor and you unplug it and go move, your library browser is still coming up. It's just trying to come up over on that other screen. Okay, so there's our library browser back. I'm going to close it down for now. Come back here into the kitchen. And I did not save this plan, so the dining room and the siding and all that reverted back to what it was when we started. Okay, let's open up our browser. And I like to pull it away from the dock, and I like to make it bigger so I can see what I'm doing. Entirely up to you. We want to go to cabinets, styles, and let's just do the new style of the do something. Let's just do a raised panel. Right now they're flat panels. So all we need to do is go around and click on the doors. Now we don't want to click on any drawers because that'll change that style also. And we're not looking to change that. We're just looking to change the doors. So it's fairly simple. And it's nice if you can rotate the camera around just right so you can get all the cabinets at once. Sometimes you can't. So you just open up. Now, you see I keep having to resize this library browser. Once you have it resized like this, and if you save a plan and you close Chief down, the next time you open it up, it will be saved as this size. Okay, so you don't have to keep resizing it, but I will now because I don't want to take the time to shut it down. But so I need to change that cabinet yet, and I'm just going to go ahead and change this island. Okay, so there we changed our door style. Now we want to change the color, the species. So we go back into our library browser, and we go under Ritz-Craft Libraries, under the cabinets, under colors. I'm going to go to upgrade, and I want to make sure the name matches the style of cabinet. In other words, there's Washington Cherry, but that's an arch, so I can't apply this to a raised panel. I need to make sure that what I'm doing, now there's Montgomery raised panel, so I can use that one, or I can use the Rockingham raised panel. I just need to make sure that in the description it has the style cabinet. So let's use the Rockingham. Now, remember I said I was going to go over these spray cans. Okay, I have we can tell that I'm ready to apply this material because my little cursor is a spray can. This one, the first one here says C. It says component. What that's going to do is it's going to change individual components of whatever you're applying it to. So in other words, these cabinets, it's just changing the doors. Okay, if I click on Object, it's going to change the entire object, obviously. Okay. If I say R for room, anything in this room that had that material, it will change. Okay. You can also do my island, and I'd have to rotate around. Nope, it did change the front because I did have that material there. Okay, I don't recommend using. Let me get the spray cans back up there. I don't recommend using the F or the P. The F will change anything on that floor. If you have a two-story and you're on the second floor, it will change everything on the second floor with that material. And the P is everything in the entire plan. Okay, which is something else you probably want to stay away from. So there's the difference in the spray cans. Okay, we have we changed all our cabinets, but if you noticed, our beadboard did not change. That's because this is a different material. To change this to what we want to do here, if we try to use the material dropper and change it, we're going to lose the beadboard because we're actually applying this material to this surface. Okay, so that's more likely not what we want to do. What we do want to do is use the Adjust Material definition. It's a little rainbow. We'll click on this material, and I named this Saddle Oak Beadboard. If this is something that you're going to save, we'd go ahead and copy this, and I'll go over that in the next segment. But for now, we just want to match the color. We want to match the color up. Okay, so let me get a little better camera view so we can see, so the lighting's a little better. Oops. I want to rotate around. There we go. And if you run into that situation where everything gets dark, just hit F5 on your computer, and it'll, what room you're in, it'll turn those lights on. Even if you don't have any lights in your plan, Chief provides a default light if you don't have any in your plan. So let's go back to our rainbow material, and this probably isn't the best color to do because it almost matches now. So let me go ahead and change this to the Montgomery. So we have a little bit of, oops. Again, undo is always useful. Undo everything in the room. Okay, this will give us a little better idea of what we're trying to do here. So click on the rainbow tool, click on the beadboard, and under the texture tab, I can blend, under color, I can say blend material color with texture. Now what that means is I'm going to take this material and I'm going to blend this color so it matches. So I want to click on material color. I can come over here and pick any color I want, but you're probably not going to get it right. best way to do it is grab this little eyedropper here, drag it over onto the cabinet, and sometimes the cabinets are a little lighter and darker, and you can see it changing actually right here in the preview. See there, it's kind of a light pink. There it's almost a black. Depending on where you go in a cabinet, you just want to get the one that looks the best. So let's just try this right here for now. Say OK. You can see it changed the color here. Okay, and there that looks pretty good. Looks pretty close. So just by using the adjust the material definition, we changed the color of that material. Okay. Any questions on how to use that rainbow tool? Okay, the next thing I want to go over is wall colors. Now, again, as long as you have the SSA license, you have access to all these bonus catalogs, and you can see in here is Benjamin Moore. And there's also a Sherwin-Williams. I don't have that downloaded for some reason. But anyways, we'll go ahead and use Benjamin Moore. And if you're using either one of those two, if you can't find the color in here, it probably doesn't exist. But if it does, and it's not in here, you can use your eyedropper to change the color, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But let's say we are going to use we're going to use one out of Benjamin Moore. I'll just come in here and we'll just pick one. Now you can see they all say preview. That's because they're not actually downloaded on your computer yet. Let's just pick this one here. You see how I have that little arrow on my cursor? That means it's downloading it. So I have to wait a second till it downloads it, and once it does, I'll get my spray can back. Okay, or actually the roller. I always uncheck that. I really don't use that a whole lot, but I still want to leave the room checked. So now it changed the wall colors in the room. You can see here it didn't change this wall because that's in a different room. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is I'm going to go into my floor overview camera, zoom in a little bit. Another way to do it is we can actually double click in the room, open it up under room specifications, under the material tab, under walls. I want to use the same color here, so I can just go to plan material. Any material that's already in the plan will show up in here. Now the only thing is I don't remember what it was. So if I pick up my eyedropper and bring it over here, down here on the bottom left, it'll tell me what it is. So there you can see it says 1512 Pining for You. So if I get back into select mode, double click in my room, materials, walls, if I go to plan, 1512 Pining for You, there it is. Say OK, OK, and there it painted my room. Now you say, well, what's the difference? Well, sometimes for some reason Chief doesn't know that you're trying to pick in a room on a wall, and it'll want to apply to something else. So if you run into that situation, all you need to do is open up the room specification and change it there. Okay? Okay, now let's say you found a color on the website. Maybe it's a different manufacturer. And I'm not going to go to any particular website. I'm just going to use this generic MSN homepage. And since I don't have my dual monitors now, I have to minimize these. And hopefully you can still see everything good. Let's say I want to change this to a different color that I don't have. Maybe one of these colors. I'm just going to pick one of these colors on this page. Doesn't matter. It could be any web page. It could be any color. It doesn't matter. The best way to do this is we're going to open up the room again. We're going to go to the walls, and it's telling me it's 1512. Now, instead of changing this, because I don't want to change this color, I want to make my own color. I want to make a new color, something that's not in the library. The best way to do this is to go ahead and just make a copy of that. And let's say we're going to use this color. Hey, we're going to use this orange color on this web search, and well, I'm just going to call it orange. I'm just going to say test. That way I'll know what it is. I can delete it later. Under the materials, under the color, we can pick the same. We want to be able to choose the color by picking that. We can use the same eyedropper, come over here and pick up that orange color. We can pick up any color we want. We can see how right here it changes. We can pick up any color we want. So maybe I want that orange again. We'll say OK. There's my orange test. Say OK. I still have, there's my new color. And there's my old color. I didn't change that, which is good. I don't want to change that because it would change it everywhere in the plan. But right there it is. Say OK. And there's my wall with that material, just any old material that I picked off the web and applied it. Any old color, I should say. Very useful. Now, having said all that, let's say maybe this is a color that I want to save. This is something I use all the time. Back in my plan materials, under this orange test, right here I can say add to library. And right there now it put it in my library. And if you do like I did, I created my own folders here with my own materials. Like this one right here is my materials. It has a bunch of stuff that I created for myself. Some of this stuff is for the new show house. This will eventually be moved over into the Ritz-Craft library when everything's finalized, and then I'll put it on the web and everybody will have access to it. But for now, I can just take that. I'll take this and I can actually move it into any folder that I want. So I move it up into my materials, and there now it shows up. There's my orange test wall color. Okay? So it's a pretty useful tool. Any questions on how to do that? Okay. And again, I did go over the flooring. I didn't go over the countertop. The countertop is the same. You just open up your library and browse to the Ritz-Craft libraries, and under countertops, you can change it to whatever material you want. Let's go ahead and change this. I'll leave room checked. And there's my Argo green. Now, again, if I would have checked component, it would have just changed either the backsplash or the countertop. If I checked object, it would have changed the cabinet, the entire. I would not say, I'm sorry, it wouldn't change the cabinet. It would have changed the backsplash and the countertop. The component is useful in the countertop part if you want to say, I did create these new backsplashes here now. Let's say I wanted to put a walnut backsplash, and I probably should be zoomed in here a little better. Overhead's probably not going to work very well for that. Let's say I wanted a different color backsplash. There's my walnut backsplash. Now you're going to have to go and change all the cabinets, but there you just changed the material on the backsplash. You can also open up the cabinet individually, go to the Materials tab, and under Backsplash you can change it there. If for whatever reason you can't pick it when you're in 3D, you can also change it that way. You can also change the countertop. Okay? So the last thing I want to go over, unless there's any questions, you guys are kind of making me nervous. You're not asking questions. Let's say customer's putting his own countertops in. They're not going to buy from us or whatever. Or maybe it's something new that I just don't have in the library and you really want to show it. Let's go. I have this website here saved. And I went and found, I want to go to materials. There we go. Let's go to granite. And you can use any of these, but I'm just going to use this one as an example. Let's say the customer wants, they like this autumn tree. What's it called? Yeah, autumn tree. You can click on this, right-click on it, and say Save Picture. Now, where you want to put this is important. You want to browse to your Documents folder. In the Chief Architect Data folder, in the Templates folder, or I'm sorry, in the Textures folder, and I created my own folder that says My Textures. Probably a good idea to put it in there, and it said it was Autumn Tree. And I'm just going to call this Test because I know I'm going to have to do some changes to it, but I just want to demonstrate that for you. So we're going to say Save. Now I have this picture saved on my computer. So let's go back to full screen in Chief. Now let's say I want to use that as a countertop material. There's a couple different ways to do this. You can go to, this is Zodiac. This is already a countertop material. You could right-click on this, copy this, paste it up into your materials, and rename it, and go through the whole 9 yards. That's probably a good way to do it at first because, well, let me just show you. I can right-click. If I right-click on my materials, I can say New Material. Everything in here is just comes up generic. But if you notice under here Type, you can have brick, stripe, sheet. There's all kinds of different stuff. So if you copy something that's a known material, like from a Zodiac if you're using countertop, or maybe a siding material if you're going to do siding, you can start with that, copy it, and rename it and remap the texture. That way all these settings in here will be saved for you. But since it's just a countertop, it's fairly simple. I'm just going to leave that area. See, there's patterns in here that some materials have their own patterns. The tab I want to be concerned with is the Texture tab. All I need to do, I need to find the texture file. So I want to browse. And I go to my libraries, I go to my documents, in the Chief Architect Data folder, Textures, My Textures, and I'm going to pick that Autumn Tree Test. We're going to open it, and there's a couple different things we can do here under the mapping. Now, don't think this is really complicated stuff. It's really not. We can either do stretch to fit, or we can give it a size. I'm going to go ahead and say stretch to fit right now, just so I can show you what that does. Oh, and I forgot to name it. I'm just going to say Autumn Test. Okay, so there I put it in my materials. There it is. If I apply this to the countertops in this room, you can see there it applied it, but there's a couple things that we need to look for here. Obviously, we don't want to see this marble.com. And when I click stretch to fit, Basically what that means is it's going to take that picture and it's going to stretch it over this entire countertop here. It's going to stretch it over, it's going to stretch it to make it fit. It's exactly what it says. Probably the best way to do it is, we know our countertop is generally 25 inches. So if we open this up, uncheck the stretch to fit, this will generally give us a better image. And you can play around with these until you get it the way you like. And sometimes stretch to fit is best, sometimes it's not. It's just, you just have to play around for a little bit. Okay, so now you can see what it did. It actually gave us 25 by 25 squares, which on the countertops here is perfect. You know, on the island you can still see them only because you're seeing the marble there. And if I open up that picture, I know this because I tried this out before I tested it on you guys. There, if I blow this picture up, there's a little bitty line right there that needs to be taken care of. So what we want to do here is we want to keep this picture, but we want to get rid of this marble.com. We don't want that to show up on our countertop. Or maybe you do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open this, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to open with. Now most people should have something on here that they can modify a picture with, even if it's paint. It doesn't really matter. All you want to do is crop it. So I'm going to open up with my Microsoft Office Picture Manager. I'm going to go edit pictures, and again, some people will have different programs. But I want to go to crop. Now I can resize the picture, and I usually try to make it a little square. And I want to pull that down. You can see how you have a little like white border there. That will show up. So if I just pull it down a little bit from each side, just to make sure I get rid of any stuff. And like again, I usually try to keep it square. We'll say OK, and I want to do a save as. And I'm going to get rid of that test. We'll just say autumn tree, because I know right now this is going to be good. This is going to be what I want. So I can close this down now. I thought I did save it, but okay. We'll go back to Chief. And we'll go to our library. And I'm going to create a new material again. I don't want to reuse this one, because for some reason it always wants to revert back to the original picture, and I haven't figured out why. So the best thing to do is just create a new one, or make a copy of it. You can make a copy of it and rename it. But this time I'm going to say autumn tree. There's my area, my pattern. Now one thing I did not show is, we have to browse to the actual JPEG. Say there it is. Right here, always check on this set color material, because right now in the preview it's going to give me a white preview. And I'd rather have a darker. It's going to show me more. It's going to give me a closer color to the actual material. So anyways, I change my scaling to 25. Again, you can play with this, play around with this. You can also rotate it with the angle. Say you have hardwood and you want the material to go a certain direction. You can rotate it right there. So we're going to use this autumn tree now and apply it into the room. And oops, there's our material. Okay, looks pretty decent. Maybe a little big. If you think it's a little big, you can always change the scale, take the scale down a little bit, and that'll scrunch it up a little bit. But keep in mind that the more you take it down, the more you see. In some places you can barely see a little line there. They'll be a little more exaggerated. So, but just that simple. I took a countertop that did not exist in the library, in the Ritz-Craft library or the chief library or any of the manufacturer library. All I did was I got a picture off the web, imported that picture in, and made a material out of it. Any questions on that? I think that's real useful, especially if, like again, if stuff isn't in the library that you're looking for. Let me just to demonstrate what I was talking about with the hardwood. Let me go ahead and apply this hardwood. Say for whatever reason I wanted that to be running the other way. Now obviously if we're installing it, that's the way it's going to go. But just say it's a material that I have, and for whatever reason I want it to go the other way. I would go through the library to do this. If I wanted to change a permanent, I would come in here and I would open this and I would change it here and I would make it permanent. But just to show you for demonstration purposes, you can change it in the rainbow, the Adjust Material Definitions tool. You can, I'll just make it 45 just so you can see it, and you can see the result. Okay, you can do that with any material in your plan. Now what's going to happen is if you open up a new plan and you go to the library and you apply that same material, it's still going to be straight because you did not change the library material. All you did was change it in the plan. Okay? So if that's something that you wanted and you wanted to save it, again, we can just open up our, you want to get to the material that it is, which is this right here. It's gun stock 2 1/4. Go to plan. You'd want to make a copy of that and rename it. You can name it whatever you want. I'll just say gun stock 2 1/4 45 because it's on a 45-degree angle. Say OK. Oops, got that to the library. Once you have the material that you want, you just say add to library, and there's your new material. Okay? So, are there any questions on anything that I covered today? No questions at all. So everybody got what I was saying? Well, I guess that could be good or bad. I just want to thank you all for attending. We'll be having one again on April 21st, I believe it is. If any of you do have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is drews@Ritz-Craft.com. Or you can call me. My direct line is 570-966-5143. If you have any questions, if you need any help, feel free to call me. I'm always help you if I can. So that'll do it. Everybody have a good day. Spring's on the way. So go out and have some fun.